Hello class, my name is Christina Santiago and I will be presenting on how juveniles are tried as adults. First I want to give a little intro on what happened in 1938. The Federal Juvenile Delinquency Act was passed, which allowed juveniles to be tried as adults for certain types of felony crimes. The way that they're tried as adults, they have to go through a process called a transfer, which is also known or could be called a waiver or a petition or certification. All of these terms are defined as the process by which a juvenile court judge or prosecutor shifts the jurisdiction from youth charge to a delinquent offense to the adult courts. And there's 4 ways that can be done. The 4 ways are through judicial waivers, prosecutorial waivers, statutory or legislative waivers, and the last is called an automatic waiver. In the judicial waivers, the juvenile court judge waives their jurisdiction and allows the juvenile to be moved to the adult court system. Judges only do this when there are certain facts or circumstances, such as murder or the unlikeliness of rehabilitation, that would make a judge, feel that they need to relinquish this jurisdiction because the child is definitely with the mind of an adult. In a prosecutorial waivers, a prosecutor files a petition to waive the jurisdiction of the juvenile court system and because they want to prosecute them in the adult court system. Typically these happen when somebody is killed or there's some kind of violent crime. The 3rd way is called statutory or legislative waiver, which is where the juvenile crime meets a certain kind of criteria by the law in the state. Some laws vary on the age, the type of circumstances, but in these cases they would be moved based on the specific crime and circumstances itself. And the last one is called an automatic waiver, which these typically happen with a repeat offense juveniles, which there's one saying is once an adult, there will always be an adult. They will always be tried in every case after their first one where they're convicted as an adult. From there on, they will be considered an adult. However, some states do have limitations on that because they, based on the crime and the length of the circumstances. Currently, only 1% of the juvenile cases actually get waived. They typically involve some form of murder, armed robbery, or a typical type felony crime. The procedure for which a waiver happens, there's 2 different ways that the procedure occurs in the judicial system. For a judicial waiver, the case will typically start in the juvenile court system. There will be a special hearing. They'll go through summons, the initial hearing, detention, petition, and in the petition stage, if the waiver is granted, the prosecutor and the defense will be told in the conference. From there, they move to a preliminary hearing in the adult court. That is where the prosecutor has to show beyond a reasonable doubt that this juvenile committed this case because they do not want to be responsible for committing a teenager or a child even to the adult system unless they're 100% sure that this child did this act. From there, the case moves to arraignment, then discovery, the pretrial motions, and after that, pretty much plea negotiations can occur. If the juvenile decides to accept the plea of guilty, they will move to sentencing, and At that point, they won't really have to appeal. But if they decide that they're going to keep going through with their plea of innocence, they will move to trial, but their sentencing could be a little bit harsher in that case. The second way that the waivers work in the system is the prosecutorial, the statutory, and the automatic waivers. Their procedure goes all through the adult court. There is no juvenile case hearing. It doesn't start in the juvenile system. So it goes through your basic arrest, initial appearance, bail, charging, the preliminary hearing, arraignment, discovery, pretrial motions, and then in the same case with plea negotiations, they can go straight to sentencing if they accept their plea of guilty. If not, they will go to a trial. They will also have the ability to file an appeal for whatever reason. But in most states, a juvenile offender must be at least 16 years of age to be, waived. But there are some states that allow it at the age of 13. And there are a few states, however, that allow juveniles to be moved at any age, but based on certain circumstances such as like homicide, armed robbery, and so forth. So that is my presentation on how a juvenile moves to be tried in the adult court system. Thank you.